Arg! Ahoy there, matey! Welcome aboard the world of boating.
Please stand clear of the doors. Por favor, manténganse alejado de las puertas.
The radio show devoted exclusively to the boating lifestyle.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
Brought to you by worldofboating.com, your internet portal for the boating enthusiast.
I was just looking into buying a boat of my own.
Call World of Boating toll-free now at 1-8888-28-BOAT. That's 1-888-828-BOAT.
And welcome. This is the World of Boating. Greg, your first mate, and Barry the Boater rounding out the crew as we kick off our latest venture into the latest boating news and information. I mean, coming up today, we got a captain from Sea-Tow that's going to share some boating tips for a very busy boating season, especially as we, get into the holiday season. We got the Fort Lauderdale Boat Show next week. We got Thanksgiving, we got, Christmas. People are going to be out there for boat parades, and we figured that'd be a good time to bring on one of the experts from Sea-Tow. That's a little later on. Mike the Mariner going to join us a little bit, and Barry the Boater, for whatever reason, I think he's trying to distract me on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, X, and even Instagram, because he knows I'm going to tell him to suck it, loser, because I just got back from the Bahamas. So what are you doing? Showing off your toe jam in the video camera?
That was my Sea-Tow.
Oh dear God, help us!
No, I'm checking my bag, my recorder. I've got my gum. I got to put batteries in here, get it all ready for the boat show.
Right.
Coming up this week.
Yeah. Well, we'll get into that in just a bit, and why he had to make such a terrible pun and alienate every passenger that we had.
Sea-Tow, that was pretty good.
You think? Okay.
It's better than I normally do. If you're
crazy, regardless, I just got back from the Bahamas and you didn't, Barry. So I need to tell you how it went, don't I?
I guess you should. I mean, the weather here was gorgeous.
It was. Topside. Okay, first off, I flew over to Bimini. I didn't take a boat because the seas were too rough. The wind was up last week, but I flew over on a private. Well, it's not actually a private charter. It's a small little 10-seat airplane company out of Fort Lauderdale called Aztec Airways, aztecairways.com. Check them out because
I think I've heard of them. Yeah.
I had not even knew they were doing this service. I mean, you got another, like an affiliate with United that flies over to the Bahamas out of Fort Lauderdale, but I didn't know about Aztec. They fly these smaller flights, and it's almost like your own little private charter. They got their own little terminal. And the whole thing, you can zip right through TSA, fly over to the Bahamas. We were flying to Bimini, all of 20 minutes in the air on these Chieftain aircraft. And very comfortable. It's basically flying in like a, eight-seat limo.
Wow.
Yeah. So it kind of felt like a big deal. And I'll tell you what, price-wise, they're very competitive, right in there with, taking the fast ferry. What do they get, the bulimia or Bularia or something?
Bulimia?
I don't know. They got some fast ferry that runs from Florida over to the Bahamas. But price, I mean, that's like $250.
That's a little pricey.
Yeah, but for $100, you get $100 more. You could fly on Aztec. Almost.
Round trip, you mean?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And you can. They actually allow you to bring pets, whatever you need to bring. So a lot of flexibility. You and I being scuba divers, we want to bring gear over. I'm telling you, this Aztec option, something to consider. Anyway, I digress. I just wanted to get that out there. Thank those folks
for
making
how was
the
your
travel
trip
experience great. Well, we got over there, and as you said, the weather was beautiful. I mean, we had a nice breeze all the time, which is not ideal for boating. I mean, the place was pretty quiet because we went during the, like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. During the week, which is like, and it's slow season in the Bahamas right now. And because the winds were up, there were no boats in the marina there at the Big Game Club in Bimini. And so we basically had the whole place to ourselves, and it was super nice until the cruise ship came in on Wednesday. And then it was like, there are golf carts all over the place. It was like, it was like on one point, it was like I-95 with golf carts, but it was fine.
That in Bimini, the golf cart is the car of choice.
Well, it's the only. Well, no, they do have some cars, I guess, but very few.
Very few.
The island's only 7 miles long.
Yeah,
so
you could walk it. So
there's no reason to have anything more than a golf cart there on the island, and that's how you get around. You just rent one for a few days, you're good to go, and it's an amazing time. And even when the cruise ship was, and don't get the wrong idea, it was still fun. It was just all of a sudden we had people after a couple days of like nobody. I mean, we basically felt like we had the whole island to ourselves. It was pretty sweet. And then you could tell there was some tourists in town, but that's fine. But the weather was just spectacular. I mean, the nice breeze kept the bugs at bay, and we just cruised around, had a good time. Did a little diving at the marina at the Big Game Club, and got in a 2-man cage right there attached to a floating dock, where they have bull sharks that have become accustomed to the fishermen who clean their catch of the day. Right there in the marina. So they throw a shark cage right there in on the floating dock and allow people to jump in there and have a shark encounter. And I got to tell you, I've done it all, right? Because of scuba radio and doing scuba radio for 27 years, I've dove with pretty much every shark you can imagine. Mm-hmm. And I'm very fortunate in that regard. I've never had a true bull shark experience like this, and it was right up there, man. And it was so easy. I mean, we just, walk to the dock there at Big Game.
They threw you in a cage, and then they dumped a bunch of fish bits into the water. Like the sharks
and they came right up to us, man. They were like, I mean, we're talking like 9-foot bull sharks, too. These were
you shower
big
after
mothers.
This?
What do you mean, did I shower? Why would I have to shower? I'm washing off in the ocean.
In fish stuff.
Fish urine? That's what the entire ocean is. Hello. But anyway, it was just an amazing encounter. So if you want to go over to Bahamas and you take your boat over to Bimini, in particular, the main marina there, one of the main right in the middle of the Bahamas, is called the Big Game Club. You really do that, and you could talk to Bimini Scuba Center, Neil Watson's Bimini Scuba Center, and ask them about the bull shark experience. You don't have to be a diver to do it because it's hookah. So that means you just, they give you a hose and you jump in this cage. It floats at the top. It's almost like snorkeling. So you really don't even have to be certified to do this experience. And
you just want the hookah so you could be a little lower than the water.
Right. And you can get some pictures that your friends are going to be thinking you are some kind of superhero and have balls of,
That's if you took photographs with the camera outside the cage.
Of course. What do you think I did? You just take it between, between the bars. Yeah. Take a GoPro down. Trust me, anybody could do it. I got amazing footage, and we'll get that out there eventually. And then we conducted an experiment that you'll hear about on Scuba Radio today, because we recorded our show from Bimini. That's coming up a little bit later on. Check it out, scubaradio.com, if you're not already familiar with it. But we conducted an experiment by throwing one of our mermaids in the cage to see how the bull sharks would react, because we did this years ago with great whites in Guadalupe, Mexico. And as soon as we had like 8-9 great whites circling the cage and the boat that we were on, and we threw some mermaids in the cage just for, fun, just to see. And I figured like, this could be bad for the
Never
mermaids.
Saw them again, did you?
Well, no, they got in the water, and the great whites literally disappeared. They were afraid of our mermaids. So we've been wanting to replicate this experiment for many years. And we finally had this opportunity to do this in Bimini, and we did it with the bull sharks. And we put the mermaid in the cage to see how how the bull sharks would react, wondering if they would act differently than those great whites back in the day. And what do you think happened?
Absolutely nothing. They just swam around there, right?
Yes, they could have cared less. And that's exactly what the dive guide said. I said, how do you think the bull shark's going to react after I told her what happened to the great white? She looked at me and said, they're not going to care. They didn't give a rat's behind.
I'm going back to the great whites now. Did you put real mermaids in, or did you have CJ and James dress up as mermaids?
No, we had 3 of them that put in we put them in the cage. Right. I thought this was a bad idea that we made.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why we had 3 to start with, figuring like, okay, if we have to sacrifice one for this experiment, so be it. But they all survived, and the great whites didn't like it. So the mermaids are the true king of the sea, at least when it comes to great whites. Bull sharks, not so much. So check them out in the Bahamas. More coming up on the World of Boating. Stay close.
You're listening to the World of Boating Radio Network.
Be an explorer in the other 2/3 of your world. Be the buddy who takes the kids in the aquarium instead of just to it. Be adventurous. Be amazed. Be a diver.
Traffic sucks, unless you're scuba diving with Mike Scott.
Mike glanced down at his dive computer. It showed less than 50 psi left in his tank. Probably just a few more breaths.
Or riding shotgun in a thrilling car chase.
One bullet hit the Jeep's windshield, spiderwebbing the passenger side. Mike shifted into second gear and felt the Jeep leap forward. This just got serious.
Escape your commute with audiobooks from author Eric Douglas. Download to your phone. Go to booksbyeric.com or audible.com.
Hosting a radio show about scuba diving and boating is one of the best gigs on the planet. It's actually part of my job to check out and report on cool new products I personally use to enhance my diving and boating adventures. However, I do believe in sharing the joy, and this is why we've added Nanook protective hard cases to our list of products you can now purchase on the merchandise page at scubaradio.com. Nanook cases are designed to protect the most sensitive equipment in the harshest environments. Underwater photographers, listen up. From their high-impact NK7 resin to their exclusive Power Claw latches, Nanook has raised the bar for those of you that demand the best protection for your gear. Plus, Nanook protective cases cost less than similar products currently on the market. The company has been around for over 15 years, but it's new to the U.S., so we've made a small number of Nanook cases available exclusively for you at a special introductory price on the merchandise page at scubaradio.com. Go there now and check out Nanook, the evolution of protection.
Successfully navigated the Sea of Commerce and now are clear to cruise with the World of Boating.
I do like the water.
The radio show devoted exclusively to the boating lifestyle.
The sun, the sea air, good friends.
Brought to you by worldofboating.com, your internet portal for the boating enthusiast.
They'd do anything for Halloween.
What's the time? Spooky time. What's the time? Spooky time. What's the time? Spooky time. It's Halloween.
Oh, shut up, jerk.
It's spooky time.
I have a feeling that you're way off on this.
It's Halloween.
I don't like that story.
It's spooky time. Spooky time. Spooky time.
This is the world's first radio show devoted to boating here for the Halloween holiday. Barry's very excited because he knows when Halloween comes to town, it's also time to go to the Fort Lauderdale International Boat Show.
Yep.
So he's not going to bring a backpack to look blatantly obvious, but he's going to wear his cargo shorts that have these massive pockets that he can load down with Halloween candy, and then he's going to gorge himself once he returns to his home vessel.
No,
I think glycemic shock is highly underrated.
Yes, well, there's that. As you can see, Mike the Mariner has hopped on board the crew, and we appreciate it. And he didn't want to be a part of my Suck It Loser or Bahamas adventure recap. Which can you blame him?
I would have loved it, but I had some logistics problems today, and it's one of those days where you forget things, 3 or 4 times, and end up on the other side of town and have to run back over. It's just been crazy.
Well, that's fine. You're getting all your honeydew list items checked off, so you can head down to Fort Lauderdale for the boat show this coming week, right?
Absolutely. Can't wait for it. It's going to be a great event.
Right. And you, are you going to get candy too, or are you going to leave that all up to Barry? What do you think?
I'll leave that up to Barry.
Oh, and then he's going to borrow it from me? Oh, I don't think
borrow it. Exactly. He'll digest it and then
give it back. Thank you.
Yeah. In a brown paper bag on your patio stoop. How about that? Who knows?
That's a vision we don't need.
Yeah. Well, it's just what you do for the season, right?
No, it's going to be great. I think there's some really cool boats and products that have been released, and I'm very excited to see some of those things. And plus, I'm really excited to help my dad spend his money. He's shopping for a boat. So
yeah, exactly. We've talked about that before. So do you think you're going to take some demo rides? Do you have a plan, or what do you think?
I don't know. We're going to be there. Actually, I'm going to be there from Tuesday afternoon all the way through Sunday. He's going to be there along with my brother. My parents are going to be there, and my brother's going to be there Wednesday and Thursday.
Yeah.
So I don't know if we'll have time for rides or not, but we're definitely looking for a 35-ish foot bay boat, center console kind of a setup.
What do you think, Barry? You going to help them?
If I can. And I can tell you right now, from Tuesday till at least Friday, the weather's going to be gorgeous. It's going to be breezy out there, so it may be too gusty to go out on the ocean, but they'll at least take you out in the bay or along the intracoastal somewhere so you could check out the boat a little bit.
That's normally what they do anyway for the boat show. So that won't affect things. But, yeah, the breeze will keep, the temperature of bay,
it's going to be
bugs
nice. It's
in
going to
check.
be beautiful.
Yeah, if it's anything like it was in Bimini last week, which I'm sure it will be, it was very comfortable. I mean, it's still short weather, but it's not so hot that you're miserable and all that kind of thing. We're slowly but surely easing into the sweet spot for Florida weather. There's no doubt about it. Finally,
we have lows in the lower 70s. We have highs in the mid 80s, so 84, 85, which is beautiful.
Yeah,
compared to the 105 we had back in May.
Correct. This is the payback we get after tolerating all the humidity and the summer temps in Florida. And of course, we got this goofy little problem with hurricanes every now and then. But we're slowly but surely easing out of that, weather pattern, and things are looking pretty good in that regard.
And I was looking. I think Grand Banks is going to have some yachts there. Maybe Mike and I can take a walk on one, and then we could tell you to.
Tell me to what?
We'll tell you later.
Yeah, that's a little too big for the. But that's a little too big for the 35 to 40 foot range that you're looking for. It wouldn't be Grand Banks, would it?
Ones. Yeah, that would be too much for them. I think the smallest one was 54 foot.
Right, that's what I was going to say. They do bigger ones.
We were discussing the difference between earlier before the show. We were discussing, are Grand Banks considered trawlers or not? And Greggy said no, they're not trawlers. And I did a little research, and most people consider them trawlers, except for some slight differences.
Well, see, for me, a traditional trawler is like the Nordhaven, and that's what I've always identified as a true trawler. And I've looked at Grand Banks as more of a ocean cruiser. Now that's semantics, maybe, but Grand Banks is more of like a luxury, cruise thing that you could take all around the world, and very fancy, a lot of teak and stuff. Whereas Nordhaven, I mean, that's like a workhorse, almost kind of like ocean running vessel that's just one step removed from having your own like commercial fishing boat,
right.
But you just happen to live on it too. What do you think there? Am I right, Mike? Or is that just me?
Yeah. There's a difference between, those expeditionary trawler yachts, and they're built to a different standard than other boats, which are still trawlers, but I consider them coastal trawlers, like you mentioned a few minutes ago. The Grand Banks 42, the old classic Grand Banks 42, 36 foot, certainly, definitely trawler hulls, trawler design, but not ocean crossing, but certainly very, very seaworthy boats that you can go to the Bahamas on, or there's tons of them up in the Pacific Northwest and Alaska and of course Maine. So those are very capable vessels.
Yeah. Well, as opposed to the Nordhaven, which would be like, okay, you get one of these and you just cruise around all over the world, nonstop if you want to, I guess. Maybe that's how
only until you run out of fuel.
Well, no, I mean, but you keep going. It's not necessarily anchored to one particular port. Is my point. You could just take these things all around the world all the time.
Well, they have
or whatever.
Yeah, and they have redundant systems, and they have like the Nordhaven, which is one of the things that I think is really cool is they use a single prop shaft with their main engine, but they have a secondary engine with a transfer gearbox that's a low horsepower motor that you can use for extended range travel.
Oh, okay.
And then start the large engine when you need it. But
otherwise, go low and slow and just cruise till your heart's content. So I was pretty much on target there, Barry.
Maybe not. But could you explain? See, I did a little research on what makes up a trawler a trawler. What are the design features? And what they said is the classic trawler look. A Grand Banks yacht maintains a recognizable aesthetic that aligns with traditional trawler design, including a tall bow, a full keel, and a spacious interior layout. And so you're thinking of those trawler ships that have the really tall bow that look like they'll just, any wave won't go over it. It'll just get split up. The Grand Banks don't have a full displacement hull. They have a semi-displacement hull. So
okay, what I heard you say is that Greg was absolutely correct. So we're going to just leave it at that for now and check in with the folks from Sea-Tow, I think, next here on the World of Boating. Stay close.
You're listening to the World of Boating Radio Network.
Traffic sucks, unless you're scuba diving with Mike Scott.
Mike glanced down at his dive computer. It showed less than 50 psi left in his tank. Probably just a few more breaths.
Or riding shotgun in a thrilling car chase.
One bullet hit the Jeep's windshield, spiderwebbing the passenger side. Mike shifted into second gear and felt the Jeep leap forward. This just got serious.
Escape your commute with audiobooks from author Eric Douglas. Download to your phone. Go to booksbyeric.com or audible.com.
Do you have a message or product you need to share with the boating world? Well, look no further than the World of Boating radio show. Just like you, thousands of boating enthusiasts are hearing this message, and we could be talking about you and your product or service as early as next Saturday. Remember, a terrible thing happens when you don't advertise. Nothing. Go to worldofboating.com, send us an email, and let's get to work to make your marketing message matter.
Successfully navigated the Sea of Commerce and now are clear to cruise with the World of Boating.
I do like the water.
The radio show devoted exclusively to the boating lifestyle.
The sun, the sea air, good friends.
Brought to you by worldofboating.com, your internet portal for the boating enthusiast.
You know, it's Halloween. I guess everyone's entitled to one good scare, huh?
I like Halloween. Trick or treat, trick or treat. Hi, come on in. We're making a jack-o'-lantern. I like Halloween. Hey, hey, hey.
This is the World of Boating. Happy Halloween to you. And we apologize in advance for the annoying songs and scary items that we like to play right before we do our little show, but it's just what we do, and we apologize. So what do you want? What do you want from us? How about some real boating safety tip information? We brought in the big guns from Sea-Tow. We got Captain Nick joining the World of Boating crew right now, along with Barry the Boater and Mike the Mariner. Nick, welcome. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me. I was excited when the opportunity came up to come and to talk with you guys and share some tips and information that we can provide for people.
Well, I mean, there's no question it will be an upgrade to our crew, especially when you consider the present company of Barry the Boater.
Well,
he's candy.
He's going
no candy for you. That's it. I'm not sharing anything with you now.
You should not abuse our guests like that, Barry. He's a guest. You can give him some of your candy.
No, him. I'll send him whatever candy he wants. You get nothing. You get cold.
All right. Fair
we
enough.
Can't mute him, can we?
No, I know it's impossible. It's really it's a technical glitch that we haven't resolved just yet. But Nick, all right, so Sea-Tow.com, Sea-Tow, one of the biggest boating industry members out there. I mean, if you're floating around and you're not part of the, Sea-Tow, I don't know what the heck's wrong with you. I mean, you're it's like flying where, up on a high wire without a net. You know what I mean? I mean, you guys are there to save so many boaters. It's ridiculous. I mean, how many Sea-Tow captains are there out there these days? Do you even have a number or know what it is?
Man. hundreds, if not, into, at least 1,000. I mean,
Yeah.
we have 100, like over 100 locations throughout the country. So we're everywhere. And, I know our franchise alone has 12 captains for 5 different lakes that we cover.
Yeah. And you're based where exactly, Nick, for
We're
your?
based in Charlotte, North Carolina, on Lake Norman and Lake Wiley, as well as Carr Lake and Lake Gaston near Virginia. But we, service for recovery stuff all over the state. For
Right. Well, after
so-
Helene, I mean, was that your neck of the woods? Were you affected by that pretty intensely, or
so-
what?
So Helene really, and I mean, up here was much more of a flood disaster than like the hurricane just, caused a severe flood in the mountains, and that, kind of translated to all the lakes in the river basin just, overflowing and boats going over dams and all kinds of crazy stuff happening in lieu of that. And, most people being on a lake don't really pay too much attention to having a hurricane plan. So
Right.
we had community docks get washed away and all hit bridges and flip boats over and cause a real big mess for property owners around the lake and just boat owners in general. So
Right. Well, and that's the thing. When you're not used to something like that, that's why it really hit the area super, super hard. Because if you've never seen it before, you don't really know what you're even preparing for. So I would imagine after Helene and some of the things you saw, was there anything that stood out? Like, okay, if we ever get ourselves into this situation again, here's what boaters should take into account. What would you tell them?
Absolutely. So I definitely recommend to people, with floating docks and stuff like that, secure them down, whether, put a bunch of anchors out, tie them to shore, make sure that, hey, my pilings are in decent shape and not rotten, tying boats off properly with, proper sling straps and, anything you can do to spring your boat off with enough scope to where, if the water does come up and you're on a fixed dock or even a floating dock, it's not gonna, hit the dock it's next to or, cause more damage to the boat or, even float away if you can secure the dock so it doesn't go floating down the lake or down the river.
Right. Which would be bad. Yeah, Barry, what do you think?
When since I know nothing about this, when the waters come up, do they come up gradually or is it quick in these lakes? So I mean, do the owners have time to, hey, there's a problem, the water's coming up, what do I do with my boat? Or is it something, can they handle it or no? What happens?
It's kind of up in the air up here with the how they control the water levels. Most of the time it's fairly gradual. This storm, since it occurred overnight and hit our areas by early morning, the lakes and water levels were already rising quite rapidly, and they were really trying to get on the other side of, hey, we need to start opening up the dams to keep the water levels somewhat in check. And they were pretty much every lake in this river basin was well over 5 feet over full pond. So it came up a lot faster than I think anyone anticipated. And we were first dispatched out for half of a marina's floating dock section going down the river at 7:30 in the morning.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
it was I think it caught a lot of people off guard, and occasionally we'll see that with in the wintertime the lake comes up due to increased rainfall and stuff like that where they might not necessarily anticipate that much water to come into the reservoirs and need to balance it out.
Well, that was an event that was, we knew it was coming, but we had no idea how it was going to affect the area so bad, especially there in your neck of the woods. But that's not really why you have CETO. I mean,
No.
CETO, you guys are the ones that call, boaters call when something unexpected happens. I mean, we've thrown this statistic out many times before that the number one location where boats sink is at the dock, right? And that's when do they call you on those scenarios too, or when they're out and about, or both?
Both.
Yeah.
We get everything in between. But yeah, our most calls we get is just, something happens while they're out enjoying their day on the water and, they break down or run something over or, just get stranded and they need some help. So that's a majority of our, response calls and helping out fellow boaters and getting them back home safely. We do get plenty of them sinking at the docks, but it's a lot less common than just
Run out of
break.
gas and that
Yeah.
kind of thing. And yeah, I mean, they're like the AAA of boating. I mean, you've heard
Right,
that
exactly.
before
That's
many
it.
times, I'm sure.
We're the AAA of boating without the the absurd response times. We're normally, at least for our areas, we can probably say we're within 15 minutes to an hour at the most.
There you go.
Wow.
Barry, what do you think?
So on a common, let's say just a tow, you're out there, you run out of fuel, and you don't have sea tow or anything, and you call, I need a tow back to my dock. What's the average price of that if you didn't have sea
Oh,
tow?
they're going to get you.
There you go.
Yeah, the average price is typically around $400 to $600 if you're not a member.
Yeah.
And a membership is about
It's less than that, isn't it?
a
oh,
lot
So-
less.
So the lakes, we have a lake card, which is $169 a year, and the ocean, which is the gold card, which covers both, is $249 a year.
Yeah.
So
Bargain.
that and that
It is a
that price-
bargain, yeah.
Oh yeah, it's cheaper than the first time you put some gas in your boat for the start of the season. So it's good and cheap insurance, and it saves our members a lot of money in the long run.
Yeah, peace of mind at the bare
Exactly.
minimum.
Yeah,
I
you're
mean, do you ever get into situations where it ends up being a life-threatening thing, like a boat is sinking, or is that a different? The Coast Guard takes those, or
So we actually had a number of response calls this year of Good Samaritans, hailing us on the radio or calling us, spotting a sinking boat where the boat owner didn't even realize they were sinking, and we were able to respond there in a timely manner. And the Good Samaritans would actually, help the boat owner out and get them off the vessel before it, capsized or anything like that. But obviously, we do have instances where law enforcement or the Coast Guard will come and assist
bridge the
with
gap, so to speak. Yeah, seatow.com. Obviously, that's where you go and get your membership and make sure you're set. I can't imagine boating without it. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense if you ask me. It's just a pretty good peace of mind. But, we got to talk to Nick some more here. We got another segment to go here on the world of boating. And I want to find out what indeed is the most common call they get from boaters out on the water. We'll do that next right here on the world of boating. It's just what we do. And maybe we'll see if he's doing anything special for Halloween this week, too. That's coming up next.
Listening to the World of Boating Radio Network. You have successfully navigated the Sea of Commerce and now are clear to cruise with the World of Boating.
I do like the water.
The radio show devoted exclusively to the boating lifestyle.
The sun, the sea air, good friends.
Brought to you by worldofboating.com, your internet portal for the boating enthusiast.
We want the man who did this.
Love is kinda crazy with a spooky little boy like you.
This is the world of boating. Greg, your first mate. That's me, along with Barry the Boater, Mike the Mariner, and we got Captain Nick from Sea Tow helping us out today as we get ready for the Halloween week at Fort Lauderdale International Boat Show. But before we got that, and we'll recap it accordingly next week on the big show. We're talking about the things Sea Tow does, with your membership fees to basically make you safer out on the water. I mean, like I said, I can't imagine you're out, you're boating and you don't have a Sea Tow membership. It just seems kind of foolish. I know Nick likes me saying this, but I'm not saying it because I'm paid to or anything like that. It just seems like peace of mind. I mean, that's why people get it, right, Nick? You think?
Absolutely, yeah. It's the cheap assurance that someone's coming to get you at all times.
Right.
We're 24/7, so you could call us at 2 in the afternoon or 2 in the morning, and we'll have a captain on our way to come and assist you.
And they do. And you get a lot of calls, I would imagine. What's the most popular? Is it the most common incident that you guys respond to? Out of gas, stranded, engine not working, or what?
Yeah, it's those three things. So it's either the running out of gas, going off of the fuel gauge. They're normally not the most accurate things. Running their batteries dead, listening to music, and not changing their battery switches to use one battery so they have one to get home, and the third is just taking their boat out for the start of the season and not kind of going through their checklist to make sure they're going to be okay and not have any engine failures or anything like that pop up.
Right. So, and that would be a tip you would share with everybody, especially taking your boat out the first time. Make sure you go through a thorough checklist, and things like the battery being a little weak and stuff like that. chances are you're going to be on the phone with Cito if you didn't do that
Yeah,
properly. What about some more of the unique phone calls that you get to Cito? I would imagine there's been some crazy ones. Like, I mean, have you ever had said, "Hey, I'm out on the water and we just saw a flying saucer out here" or something? I mean, do you get those kind of calls?
Oh yeah, we get everything under the sun. We've had houseboats break free at 3 in the morning in a bad storm, and we're going to save them. And it's someone still on the boat. They were sleeping on it, and they're floating down the lake. We get people that are stranded on an island.
Surprise!
Yeah, we get just about everything. We get a lot of interesting calls for sure.
Yeah, and any in particular that stand out that you can change the names to protect the guilty, or what do you think?
Yeah, we had one instance where there was about 30 people stuck on an island. They were having a party of some sort throughout the day, and had friends, shuttling them back and forth to shore. And come midnight, we're getting a bunch of phone calls saying we're stranded on an island and we don't know how we're going to get home.
That must have been a great party, because it took them all the way till midnight to make that call.
Oh, they had.
Hey man, where's the boat?
Doing some day drinking.
No.
Yeah.
They waited till the beer ran out, and then they decided to call for
They
help.
sobered up enough
We
to
need more
realize,
beer.
like, no, where's the boat?
What was
Yeah.
funny about that, too, is they had
Cito bring
grills
us
and
beer?
DJ equipment and all kinds of stuff. They knew how to throw a party on the island for sure, but they didn't plan on their return to shore too carefully.
Now, did they have their boat or Cito membership in place, or you happen
yes,
to be?
So the people on the island weren't members with us, but the boat owner was a member with us. And he had 2 boats out there. One had broken at the ramp, and the other one was broken at the island. So he had called us, and we were able to get people off of the island with his boat in tow.
I would have, I wouldn't have went out there and turned it into like a Survivor scenario and Lord of the Flies, he who survives.
You could have told the people, "Wait here, I got to tow the boat back and then go back home."
Yeah, then I'll come back.
Wait, what about us? No, you're not a member yet.
Yeah.
They must have said, "Bring the biggest boat you've got," because we've got 30 people here.
Yeah,
and they're all.
I know we sent out 3 that night, so we we had 3 guys help out, and luckily we were able to get everyone back to shore, and they were happy to be off the island and not have to worry about spending the night out there.
Right. How does that work with Cito? Is someone always on call, so to speak, or you got like a hotline and all the captains in the network, like in your little franchise area, they're just on a group call kind of thing, and when you get an emergency or
So when we have, obviously we can be hailed on the VHF radio, but we get a lot of our dispatch calls. A lot of them come directly to my cell and other coworkers. So our phones never go on silent. So it could be any time of the night, and we'll get a captain out there, and we go on shift. We do rotations. So one captain will be, on overnight on call, and then we'll switch off. So we always have that coverage.
Is there like a time frame, like you guys have your boat set up that, okay, if it's late at night, you're at your residence, but you're like, 10 minutes from the marina, and you figure this in, okay, we're 10 minutes, we're, 15 minutes away from responding, or does it just depend on the day, or is there some kind of emergency response system in place?
We're pretty well dialed in with captains, where they're located and how far they are from the boats. We definitely try to stay we plan that ahead, where we'll rent a slip at a certain marina if it's closer to some of our full-time guys. And just having that ability to be like about 10-15 minutes from the boat. Our dispatch times are well under an hour in most cases.
Right. And of course, being that Halloween's coming up, I don't know if we got a full moon this week, but the incidents tick up during those kind of events. Am I right? Yeah. Just like crime and everything else, you're going to have more situations that you got to respond to at this time of year, or what?
Oh, I'm sure. I mean, it's it could be nothing or it could be everything. So this time of year we get a lot of ungroundings for lower water levels and people just, like I said, trying to get their last minute boating in for the season for the weather.
Barry ate too much candy and he ran aground because his boat can't support the extra weight he's taking on with all his sugar intake.
What? No. Okay, now you're done.
All right.
Here's one thing I do want to get across that we may not have mentioned before is that if you're out on the water and you're sinking, and you call the Coast Guard, they will come out and rescue you. But will they rescue your boat?
In most cases, no. They're going to rescue the passengers aboard and get them to safety. And we're the second responders, so we are normally the ones responding to, hey, this vessel is in distress or it's sank, and we need to either have it towed back in or recovered for the owner. And we typically work with law enforcement and the Coast Guard in scenarios like that.
Okay, so you would you'd jump in or work in conjunction with the Coast Guard if you got into that situation. That makes sense. Mike the Mariner, what do you think?
Well, I just want to do a shout out to the captains that make up the great organization that you work for, because I have a friend that is a captain here in Florida, and I see some of the stuff that he goes through. Some of these rescues are not easy.
Sure.
Yeah, we had a boat that sank here in the marina during the storm a few weeks ago, and they recovered the vessel. And the things they had to do to recover that vessel were not easy, and they were not necessarily the least risky.
Sure.
It was
a lot of training goes into that, Nick, or
Oh, yeah.
is it like you learn as you go kind of thing? Because you got to be creative sometimes.
Yeah,
Right?
and that's kind of the interesting side of salvage work, and it's never the same. I mean, you could do. I actually this year I've done in one weekend. I did 3 of the same boats, and they were all, when you first looked at it, looked the exact same, but you had to recover them completely different methods and ways you kind of attack the problem. So you definitely have to think on your feet and brainstorm ideas. And obviously, our number one thing is safety. We want to make sure all of our personnel is safe, and any of our contractors are safe in the recovery. And
Well,
obviously,
good stuff. Captain Nick from Seatow, you're doing great work. Thanks for being on the World of Boating. Seatow.com is the website to make sure you got your membership in place so you got that peace of mind when you're out there on the water. On that note, we are going to wrap it up, though. Till next week, you bet. Till next week, remember, whether it's sail or motor,
Life is better as a boater.
Safe boating, everyone.
Come back here, you barnacle-bitten swab!
World of Boating is brought to you by worldofboating.com, your internet portal for the boating enthusiast.
Any of this getting through to you, son?
World of Boating is a production of Overboard Entertainment Incorporated.
Computer standing by.
Remember, you can listen live or to archives of past shows worldwide over the internet at worldofboating.com.
Computers can do that?
So tell a friend and come aboard every week for the World of Boating.
This is so great. I can't wait. I'm getting goosebumps. Feel me. Feel me.
The radio show devoted exclusively to the boating lifestyle.
TTFN, ta-ta for now.
The opinions you just heard on the World of Boating are those of the hosts, callers, and guests. They are not necessarily those of any station or network, its management, or advertisers.
What are you being such a weenie for?
While on the water, your safety and the safety of many others depends on you. So boat smart and operate your vessel only after receiving the proper training and instruction for your area.
There is a fine line between genius and madness.
Have any questions or comments? Feel free to do so via the web at worldofboating.com.